Hey everyone, this weekend I did another of my board game design streams on Twitch. This is a video compilation of that stream. Just a couple hours of me talking about board game design and that kind of stuff. If you like this type of video, please let me know by liking and all that stuff, so I know that this is a video that kind of series that you guys want me to do more of in the future. Go ahead and put comments down below if there's any issues with the audio or anything that you see, or if there's any other things that you think the series could be improved on, or if you have just any feedback about the game that we're designing. I kind of want this to be a community-driven game, so if you have any thoughts or ideas of the game, just let me know, and I might include them into the final version of the game. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the main video. So today we're going to be talking basically about board game design and the concept of starting a new project, how to get it started, and then kind of start building the steps to building your first prototype of a concept. The concept will be basically just kind of your basic idea, what you kind of write up and send to a designer, a board game company if you just want to sell them the concept. And then of course we'll build a prototype for the companies that want prototypes to be able to actually see and physically play the game to see if that's something they want to do. So we'll do something kind of fun that way. Let's see here. So mic, audio input, captive. Okay, cool. Seems to be working just fine, and that should be okay. Alright, so let me go ahead and open up. If you have any issues hearing me, or if you have any issues with the sound in general, please let me know, and I will fix that myself. It's a good thing I opened this in the other window. I had a bunch of windows open, and that one's been good. So let's go ahead and, oh my gosh, how many projects were I working on? Okay, let's close all this out. Save. So I show you, but some of the stuff is working projects I'm working for other companies and other licenses, and so it is not something I can share at the moment. And some of these are just old drafts of old things I was looking at earlier to get ideas for today's stream. Okay. Boom, boom. Here we go. New file. Like so. Custom. Let's go ahead and make it 8.5 by 11. .5 by 11. Funny, there's a meme about Paper Size and Doctor Who where they had the War Doctor going sideways and the 11th Doctor going up and down, and I always think of that when I think Paper Size now, and it's kind of how I remember 8.5 by 11. Slight echo. I don't know if I know how to fix that, because I don't know why it would be echoing. There is no sound coming out of my computer at all, so that's interesting. Maybe if I turn this down, it might be less. I don't know, but probably be quieter. Okay, let's see here. Let's try this. Alright, is that better? Okay. Let's see here. I am going to start kind of with the basic concept of the game. I created this kind of basic book here. This will kind of be aka the rule book eventually. But this will be a concept thing. Normally I do this by hand. I have a notebook here, and I'll open to random pages, and I'll have like diagrams and pictures if I want, and write down thoughts and ideas. This in particular, though, is not a board game. This is a D&D campaign that I did. I use the bullet journal type of concept when it comes to game design journals, because I have massively ADD, so I put down what I'm writing about in the page number so I can go back and forth and write concepts and stuff, and then be able to find what I was writing in the notebook. So this notebook is very much, there's some game design stuff there, very much a key aspect of what I do. I prefer, a lot of people have different things. I prefer the dotted, I don't know if you even see that, the dotted square notebooks, because it's easy for me to use it as a grid to draw pictures. Like here's some more D&D stuff here. I can draw pictures up here, and then I can write on it without being distracted by squares. I can write right to left, and so it kind of becomes lines for me in my mind. So in particular, this is my favorite type of notebook for this type of work. Does not necessarily have to be the same for you, but I do like that concept. Now, one of the things I always think about when I start a game project is theming. Themes are very important. They help kind of dictate where you're going to go, and kind of give you an idea. So, like, if my basic theme is Doctor Who, I'll start with something very rough, something kind of like a concept of what I want to do, and then I'll let the theme kind of stick to it in ways to kind of develop the game. So I'll have something that starts off something like this. Let's say this is my rough idea of Doctor Who, very basic concept. You get the idea that it's Doctor Who, and it's there. But then by the time you're done, you'll have mastered the concept to something that's a lot more polished, and it will look a lot good when you're done. But don't be afraid to play around and do stuff with the very basic concept that you've come up with. To keep with the TARDIS analogy, there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do, kind of discuss stuff, but it's always bigger. The game itself is bigger on the inside. There's a lot more that you have to do to make a game work that sometimes the players don't even know that you do, or will understand what it means for you to have done that. For example, in Doctor Who Time of the Daleks, so this game here, each of the locations in the game have dice that you have to roll to determine what you need to pass or fail an adventure. So you'll have like a location and a monster kind of combined for a challenge, and you complete that. And players will just see it as a dice rolling game that they have to draft dice. They basically choose and put together the dice that they can get together. They roll it and try to match the symbols. Pretty straightforward for the gamer. For the designer aspect of it, though, I had to figure out exactly which icons should be there. I needed to balance the icons so that one icon isn't more popular than another one in the game. So I wanted to make sure that if you focus on the green skills, you're not going to always win. You have to also need the blue and the red, that kind of stuff. So there's whole balance issues. There's ways to balance them and all that stuff that kind of came through the game. And with this, though, the theme kind of dictated a lot of that for me. Because it's a TV show, and the TV show has to be varied in general to have, a lot of, positive feedback from, the fan base and stuff like that. You can't have the Doctor do exactly the same thing to save the day in exactly the same way in every single episode. So when I go through each minion and bad guy, basically, and I go through each adventure he was on, and I figure out what it took for him to beat those, the balance actually was pretty close. I had to fudge a couple things to make it work. Some adventures didn't have the icons, all the icons it could have had, because he just did a lot in that episode, and I just didn't want to make the players try to get almost impossible skills off to try to beat it, because it wasn't an impossible thing. He just did a little bit of everything. So I just kind of picked the ones I thought were important, put them in, and did stuff. But it was a lot of background work, a lot of kind of organizing it all, and getting it all laid up, that a player will never understand or see in the game. They'll just see the symbols and be like, okay, I roll these and go. So there's a lot of little things like that you kind of have to fine tune, but those are things you can do way down the line. So when you start a project, you kind of just want to start by kind of laying it out, like what's the bones of your project, kind of create a skeleton, and then we start putting connective tissue so that the skeleton doesn't fall apart when you pick it up. So then you have your kind of basic, basic game that functions in the way you see it functioning, but isn't fully complete, isn't fully fleshed out. So you have a lot of kind of placeholder cards, a lot of those kind of things to kind of get you where you need to go, and then you start putting in more and more as you go, and then kind of fine tuning and sculpting it out of clay, basically, as you go through, and you finally get your final project and your final product. The thing to think about when you start doing this stuff is, like I said earlier, I always think of it like a body. You have your bones that you need to have. It's your structure. It's what's going to make the game strong, and it's going to be what is kind of the underlining thing that runs your game. These are your basic mechanics and your basic kind of hooks for the game. So, like for like a Doctor Who game, I kind of sat down, watched a ton of episodes again because I watched Doctor Who like crazy, and I started making lists of what is gameable about Doctor Who, what is unique about Doctor Who, and as a fan, what I would like to see in a Doctor Who game. And those are the kind of the mindset I would go through, and I'd be like, okay, well, the Doctor episodes follow kind of a certain formula, where the Doctor goes out with his companion, he finds a problem in the universe, and he solves it. That's kind of the concept of the Doctor. So the Doctor in the game, then, that's kind of what you want to do. You want to have companions. You want to go out and solve problems, and you want her to be able to take her companions out and be able to solve adventures and stuff like that. So, so when it comes to developing that into a game, I just knew that I would have a beginning phase where I kind of prepare things, kind of the beginning of an episode. I would go on an adventure, and then I would have the ramifications of that adventure be sorted out. And that was kind of a turn in my mind. The other thing I kind of noticed in Doctor Who was that the companions weren't always with the Doctor. Sometimes Doctors found companions and stuff like that. So I want that as part of the mechanic. And so I kind of started putting these little parts in. And then I kind of looked at what makes Doctor Who like unique. What can I do in Doctor Who that I don't have anywhere else? And one of the things that came up my mind is that Doctor Who is one of the only games where everyone can play the main character and be somebody completely different. Because there are so many different Doctors, you could just, I'm going to be, the third Doctor, I'm going to be the fifth Doctor, that kind of thing. And everyone is the Doctor, but completely different. And they all have their own personalities and their own special rules. So it's kind of cool. It's like, you can't really do that with any other, game. Like you take Cowboy Bebop, let's say, and you have like your cast of characters. But if everybody wants to play Spike, you can't really, you can do that. Like everyone can play Spike, but Spike is technically the same no matter who you play him. So then, yeah, it's just something that's very uniquely Doctor Who, where you can be the same character but be different versions of the same character, and it makes sense canonly. I think the only other movie/TV, or actually just movie franchise that could get away with that same concept is James Bond, because there's all the different James Bonds, and so you could have everyone play as James Bond, and also have them all be different with their own kind of quirks and stuff like that. But Doctor Who is just more, because more of the personality changes, more of who they are is like fundamentally changes. The thing that doesn't change is the good heart and the and just being generally an awesome guy. So anyways, that's enough about Doctor Who. Well, it's never enough about Doctor Who, but that's enough about that kind of concept. So let's start a game from scratch. The first kind of step to designing a game is to come up with a concept. I tend to let a concept live in my head for weeks or months before I sit down and kind of flesh it out. The basic concepts will always be kind of just like a theme and like kind of what I think the game will be like, and then as I kind of design and figure out what my limitations and stuff are, I will kind of stretch it out there. But one of the things I was thinking about was I had this concept for a few years now, and I have never really sat down to do it. I don't know if this is a game that I'll ever get published, so I thought I could use it on the stream as an example game. And maybe make it a print and play game down the line that can be accessible to anyone. So the concept of this game is basically it's going to be a conspiracy theory game with the flat Earth being kind of the center of the conspiracy of the game. Okay, the headliner conspiracy, if you will. So yeah, the idea is that the Earth is flat, and that we need to protect that knowledge from the rest of the world. And that's kind of the thought I had. That's kind of the basic idea, and then I thought, well, what if everybody in the game was a different type of conspiracy theory or a different type of kind of big government plan. So I kind of looked online to look for some of the more unique and, to be honest, flavorful conspiracies. And I found a couple of them that I think will fit into it. So let's go ahead and see here. Just kind of moving some windows around so I can see what I'm looking at here. I am going to be grabbing some images that I found online. The big thing I want for this game is I haven't done a big board game for a while. So, I'll be honest, Doctor Who's kind of my biggest... No, Aliens is my biggest board game. As in, like, an actual game board. I've done a lot of card games recently, so I kind of want a big game board. So one of the things I was thinking of is Flat Earth as, like, the board. And then you can move around there, and then you have, like, little, like, kind of maybe worker placement type things to kind of keep your conspiracies alive. And when I was looking for flat Earth images and stuff like that, I came across a kind of a cool concept of the flat Earth mythos, if you will. The Earth itself is here, and then there is actually another like ice barrier that protects us from more countries and stuff that we don't even know about on the outside, and then there's like a mountain barrier that blocks us from even more like things. And then there's all these other frozen wastes and stuff like that beyond that. I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. I think I'm going to focus though on the idea that we're just us, but this whole concept is cool as well. It would be kind of cool as like an adventure game or something, that to be like you're from the central flat Earth and you have to adventure out into these other areas and try to like connect with whatever's living outside of what we thought was the known universe. But one thing I'm going to need in the game then is a board. So I was just going to grab a generic flat Earth type board that's big enough. Let's see here if I can find one. It's big enough that I can kind of trace a game board above. So let's see here if I do this. What are the sizes? These are telling me sizes. There we go. This one's quite big. So let's go ahead and save. Open image in new tab. Let's see what it looks like as a full image. That'll get us started. I'll save image as, and then I'll just throw it on the desktop here. Cool. So there is a basic image for me to play around with. Let's open up Photoshop and put that in there. Okay, so this is, no, that's not what I want. Okay, let's go ahead and just keep that like that. There we go. This is the basic map, if you will. I am going to basically use this to kind of create a new layer here. Boop. I'm going to kind of draw in the basics of the countries and stuff. Let's make this one for now. I'll figure this out later. So let's see here. I'm not going to be exact. I'm just going to draw around. The thing is that with this, I think this is just going to be an image for the prototype. A real artist will come in and do this properly. So I just want it to look right. And yeah. And there's going to be some changes in here. Like I said, I looked up some other conspiracies. There's a flat earther conspiracy that believes that that Australia doesn't exist. That it's actually paid actors in the middle of South America that pretend to be Australianers and stuff when you fly there to visit the country. But it itself is a hoax. And it's one controlled by the government. So I'm going to just go around here. Take a break. If I hold on too long and then I make a mistake, then I'll have to redo everything. So I'm just going to do that. Now, the concept of this is I'll probably break these down into different things. Now, Canada is another one that's interesting. And I'll be playing around with this conspiracy as well. There's a conspiracy that I read that Canada doesn't actually exist in the way that we see it. Like the border, like the outline of Canada does, I guess. But Canada, like the center of it, is actually a giant pit that goes straight down to the Mole People's Kingdom. And what we see from like space and stuff, Canada is actually a projection that's been bounced off the moon from the Netherlands of all places. So over there. So I was like, oh, okay, that's an interesting conspiracy. So there's some kind of like pit in the middle of Canada that will goes directly to the Mole People's Society, and I'm guessing then the place in the Netherlands is also controlled by the Mole People, because who else would want to cover that? Unless the Netherlands and the Mole People are have a very strong alliance. There we go. So you can see the outline coming through. Once I turn that off, you can kind of see that it's going to be pretty good there. So the concept of the game, though, is I'm going to have all these conspiracies. Players will take on a governmental body that's in charge of different conspiracies, and they have to be the ones to protect them. So, for instance, you might be NASA, and you have to protect the flat Earth truth from getting out there. So if anybody gets too close to the ice wall, who realize it's an ice wall and not, just a cold spot in the world, you have to stop them before they get back to the mainland. So you'll have like little patrol boats and stuff like that go out, and you have to sink ships that get too close to the line, or you have to track down like any conspiracy person who's trying to prove their theory by going over to the edge of the world and taking a photo. So that is kind of like that's your main job there. And I think I might have the Mole People, aka the people where the tunnel in Canada apparently goes to. They play a playable race, and they have to control and protect Canada and their the projector, basically. Make sure that's all always working and going on. We will have I think maybe lizard people, because that's another kind of common conspiracy. And so you have to control all the governments and make sure that all the government stuff goes through, and that you have all the government stuff goes through. Sorry, drawing and talking. Make sure that that everything's pro-alien, that you're able to get your dark deeds and stuff through. So everybody will have like kind of an overlining plot that probably change from game to game, like what you're trying to do to win the game, and then you'll have your actual conspiracy that you have to keep safe, and then you can kind of attack other people's conspiracies by sending conspiracy theorists and stuff like that their way, or redirecting ones that are coming at you to somebody else. I imagine it will have kind of almost a no, that's not the game I'm thinking of. Boss monster type effect, where you might have a deck of conspiracy theorists that pop up, and depending on which theory has like the most appeal to them, they'll go after them first. But then you will have cards that let you kind of redirect and kind of get them to go elsewhere. So yeah, this is kind of I kind of chose to do the map here first because it's going to be kind of a central part of the game. I kind of want to see what it will look like when everything is said and done. And I kind of want to use it as a way for me to kind of spitball ideas and thoughts while I'm going through it. So I'm just kind of thinking about, basic mechanics, how much space I have on the board, how much is going to be used. Because since it's going to be Earth and there's going to be modifications, like I like the no such thing as Australia thing. So Australia might not actually exist in my final map. So I will be modifying the final map to not have Australia. And just kind of play around with those kind of concepts. Again, this whole part doesn't have to be perfect. I'm kind of missing spots and doing stuff. The actual designer who will design my map for me will do this a lot better. And yeah. Cut this out. Around here. And there we go. Let's grab this little island here. I don't know if I'm going to use it. But yeah. Not exactly where that's supposed to be, but there we go. And now we have the Americas. Got it there. Which is cool. Let's go ahead and grab some of these islands here because they are also important part of the Americas. Okay, so there we go. We have some of that. Let's go over to so yeah, Australia is there. I don't know if I'm gonna have Australia in my final version of this map. So what I might do is create another layer, draw the Europe, and I might actually change a little bit on how the map looks, so I can cut Australia out and New Zealand, sadly, and I'll put them in South America as like spots you send the tourists who want to go. And yeah, this is very. There we go. And here we go, like so. And let's grab some of these northern countries here. Drop on Finland. Go here. Let's get Denmark. Germany all sorted. Spain. France. Spain right there. Over here towards Italy. There was a kid me always called it Das Boot. It looks like a boot. And we watched that movie a lot growing up. Here. Get some Greek in. Think about the Roman Empire. The Blackest of Seas. some of these islands in. Cool. So that, get the general look of that, and let's just get Africa going. Like so. So so the countries will definitely, of course, continents. Africa, Europe, Asia. We're going to drop Australia and call that South America, North America then, stuff like that. So hopefully I can then just take this and tell I'm getting tired of just drawing because I'm going a little bit more sloppy. But again, not the final version. It will never be the final version. It's just creating something we can use. So, there's Africa. Oh, let's grab some of these little islands here. I don't know what this one's called. Probably, let's call it, Bitten. Yeah, I'll call this Bitten. It's pretty great, though. I'll call it Great Britain. There we go. Nah, just kidding. Let's get Ireland going. England looks fine. A little bit of Iceland. Never heard anyone. A lot of bit of Greenland. Never heard anyone. And then a lot of bit of islands over Canada. Let's just grab these as kind of a chunky thing. That's going to draw like so. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of this isn't going to be necessary, like if these are going to be places you can go. I'm not exactly sure how the board is going to be broken up yet. I'm thinking maybe cities that you can go to and do. Oh no, I did these in the wrong layer because I'm hoping to move this layer around, but oh well, we'll figure it out. Figure that out when we do it, because I can always cut it out. So back to this layer. Thinking maybe I might want on the map as well a moon, have like a secret moon base. Maybe it's where the lizard men have their headquarters or something. That could be quite good. We could also do Greys if we want to, and the whole thing with Greys is that they have to study all the life forms on the planet without too many of them being seen, but they also want to study the impact of themselves on the culture, so they let themselves be seen a little bit or something. I don't know. Figure out what the Grey aliens would be like and the whole conspiracy thing. Okay. This is where we're getting a little bit tricky here. It's funny, everyone thinks New Zealand and Australia are right next to each other, but they're actually quite far away compared to like other islands. Of course, this is not necessarily the most accurate map, but it is actually kind of far away from Australia in the scheme of things. Definitely not good map drawing, but I am just getting close to the end here, so I'm just going to do this. Spend a little more time over here on Japan. Okay. That is that. Oh. Now for the time taking, because one, which will be the ice barrier, But that will be another layer on top of everything else because I'm going to make the ice barrier smaller so I can get rid of Australia. This one doesn't have to be perfect because it's not real. So there's no real worry about cutting out too much of it or going in too much. Just have to make it look like a ring around everything. So I use the original one as kind of a guide, but yeah. So I also want finances to be part of the game. So it's probably going to be a currency token system or maybe a paper money or something. Reason being is kind of like Monopoly. This game will probably be kind of showcasing a concept or an idea. Like Monopoly is supposed to show how capitalism is the worst thing apparently, and then which is ironic because it became a super commercialized board game, probably one of the most popular and largest names in board games we have nowadays, and it's this huge commercial success, and it's a whole business onto its own, which is probably the last thing the designer of that game wanted, which is hilarious in my mind. I find that funny. So I'm gonna shrink the ice barrier down something like this, so I have more used space, if you know what I mean. Like that. So if I turn this off, it'll be something like that. There, and then I'm going to turn this back on. Add one more layer, which hopefully will be easy to do. Let's see. And this layer is just gonna be the ice barrier. It's it's the kind of the end of the map. So I'm just going to kind of have this come down like so. Oops. Give the circle aspect of it. Why? Oh, because I have them both selected. Okay, cool. And now just this one. There we go. Let's turn off the best background and figure out where this best fits in. Let's say let's have this all of Earth being over here. Right, so here's Earth. Let's go ahead and move this layer here. And that'll be the ice barrier. And this layer here should be Europe stuff. There, and let's grab the Americas and plug it in over here. Like so. Let's give ourselves a nice white background. So let's grab this rectangle tool. Let's do this. Turn this to white. Oh yeah. And boom. We can see everything a lot better now. It's definitely recognizable as Earth in a way. So success. I'm going to group these. Group. I'm going to see if I can transform them all together successfully. Slightly smaller. Cool. So that is the basic concept of the look of the board, which is nice. Let's move here. Can get bigger so I don't have weird. Why are you doing that? No, I don't want that. Okay. There's Earth. And let's say we do have a moon. So let's go ahead and make a moon. Here. Let's make a perfectly circle moon. Here, let's give it a little bit thicker of a maybe 3 point. There you go. What? Oh, it's white. How do I change that right here? That's not what I wanted. Why is it changing the whole? Oh, because it made that. Okay. New layer. That's what I didn't do. That's what I did wrong. Okay, let's make this black again. Let's make a circle. What do you say? Let's fill it with white. There we go. There we go. I don't want to. What are you doing? Okay. There you go. So there is that. We got a moon. We got Earth. The reason why Earth is sideways like this is that I didn't really want to have like a particular side. So like if you're sitting here, you can be there. You can sit in here. That kind of stuff. So I'm not really going to be playing around with the size anymore than I have to. Let's see here. The group. What is the second circle? I don't know why I was doing that, so let's just get rid of it. This circle here, let's fill that with white and put it on the bottom of all these layers. So, so we have that. So I can put space basically in the background, but for now, this is what I am going to have for our map. So here's the map. We got it. Yay. Don't need to put too many details in there. We can color it and do all that stuff later. But what we do need is places on it. So I'm going to create some zones or some things. So we will have, let's see here, layer. Let's go top layer. Let's add an extra layer here. And let's draw some stuff. So let's grab this color stuff. Let's see here. Where can I get? Yeah, so I want kind of a brownish color. So let's do dark brown first. Let's do a circle. So let's say in Canada here. Here is a circle. On the outside of this is going to be the same brown. Okay, so here is the the hole to the Mole People's realm. Let's give it a little bit more flair by doing this. Nope. Not at all what I told you to do. What the heck are you doing? Alright, back to selecting this, and then this black. Alright, not black like I told you to be. I don't want both of them to be black. Okay. Any issues where it's trying to copy circles on me, and nope, I don't want to copy circles. I want you to stop duplicating between these two. So let's make a new layer. Sorry, that's what I forgot to do, I think. And let's go here. So being self-taught on a lot of these systems is not the best way to be. If you know these systems and we're not self-taught, that is a good way to be. Because yeah, I do a lot of guesswork that takes time. That probably will be easier ways to do a lot of the things I do. But yeah. So there is the hole in the world leading down to the Mole People's kingdom. Right there. Yeah. Okay. And that is way too big. I'm not going to be able to see the difference there, so let's just make it that. And leave it at that for now. Okay, so there's the hold on to the Mole People's universe. So we have that. We have the Arctic wall here. So, is there enough... Let's see here. Old-fashioned paint bucket tool. Okay, that's not going to work. So what is this? That is that. Okay, can I fill this with blue? Yes, I can. And put underneath all that stuff? I can. And then can I fill... Not the best colors for these things. They're kind of dark, but can I fill this with green then? No. Oops. I can. It just has to be in the right layer. I'll leave that one as that, because it doesn't seem to want to do what I want to do, which is fine. I'm just trying to get a basic, you know, landmass feel from these things. I think at this point it's just easier for me to do this. Now I'm thinking about it. For these smaller ones, the more details that you want to make sure you have. Again, none of this has to be perfect. But you do kind of want it to look okay as you go through and get the basic concepts in there. So we have this here. Here. Cool. Cool. So, we got an ice wall. We got our countries here, islands and such. So that is the basic. On the basic map, we have the hole there. We'll probably have some patrol stuff around here for NASA and all that stuff. So there is our basic map. And then yeah. So let's save this as let's see here. Over here, so I will save this in my project stuff. New flat files. Sweet. And there we go. We have the basic premise of our map here. And so if we go back to our game here, we can actually go place. Let me go ahead and throw this over here. And let's go down to that game design, personal files, flat earth files, and this. And voila, we have a map that we can throw directly onto our rulebook here. Ah, cool. So playing around with things like this is fun. I get trapped in an ADD way sometimes, having to get these kind of details done first, and then into the real details. That's what we need. But yeah, so there's the concept of the game. So let's go here and let's do some lists. I apologize ahead of time for my spelling. I'm not the best, but that's what spell checker is for. So yay. Okay, so we have flat earth concepts. It's a conspiracy game. See? Boop. Conspiracy game is the main thing. Players take charge of a major conspiracy and have to manage it. So they take they have the conspiracies, they have to manage it. That will mean the truth secret and so you have to. So it's going to be players will have kind of a worker placement. I'm thinking in this one to keep the truth secret, to maintain the actual infrastructure of the conspiracy, and also to fund the operation. So you'll have to get money and fund it and all that stuff there, and that's going to be the thing I think that will be the underlining interesting thing about the game itself is funding your operations. Like you're maintaining the wall and you're funding the wall and doing all this stuff, but the actual act of like keeping the fact that the earth is flat makes you absolutely no money. So you have to actually fund it in other ways. And I think it will basically have the overall lesson of why would somebody do this? It's like that's the one thing like where most of these conspiracy theories fall apart for me is like for flat earth and stuff like that. What is the monetarily the value of not telling people the earth is flat? There's not enough money in making globes or anything like that to justify the amount of money it would take to stop people from finding out that truth. And so kind of like the map that I showed earlier, the idea that there's actually more countries beyond our countries, in fact, and more worlds and stuff. So, but within our own planet, our own flat Earth, if you will. And so that one is interesting because then it's like secret trade deals from outside countries and stuff. That could be the motivation, but like, what's the motivation for an actual just regular Earth that's flat? And so that's kind of the premise of this game. Like, what's the motivation? Why are you doing this? That kind of thing is kind of the overarching like background thing that makes you think about these conspiracies. Okay, so to win the game though, so we have to have a win and we have to have a way to lose. We obviously know that if you can't keep your truth secret, maintaining and funding your operations fails, you'll lose the game. So there is that aspect of like as soon as you're out, type thing. So that's kind of a very old school mindset for the game is player elimination. I think in this game it will be last man standing, but in my mind, if you're going to do a last man standing type game, it needs to be a quick game. So someone's not sitting out of the game forever. So something like King of Tokyo or, King of Tokyo and what's another good example? Zero with the rocks that you move around and stuff like that. They have play elimination, but they do it quickly. And then you're not like an hour out of the game, like, okay, you guys are almost done, so we can play the next game, that kind of thing. So we can have player elimination if the game is short. If the game runs long, then knocked out players need a roll. And maybe it's a situation where knocked out players become, that could be cool. So let's see. So we have this concept. So let's add a couple concepts to this. When knocked out, you become a source or become the leader of a conspiracy group working to take down the other players. You still lost, but you can take others down with you. So that's a concept that could be interesting. It could be a bit spiteful, so maybe it's not the type of gameplay we want in the end, but that's kind of an idea. That's kind of worth exploring. I think some kind of card mechanic for the because I'm gonna be using this word these terms a lot, so let's copy it. Conspiracy groups to elect members to let's see, investigate. Let's do it this way. Conspiracies, and that needs IES. Let's make that right. To basically investigate conspiracies and overturn and to knock find. There we go. The truth. So that's gonna be kind of the goal of the things working against you. So now we know if you are taken down, you become a conspiracy member. So you either a source for the group or a conspiracy group leader. I'm kind of getting inspirations here from the old Battlestar Galactica game. I like how, like, once you're found out to be a Cylon, you get to go kind of like the little mastermind area where you can kind of put like major crises down and other things that will mess everybody up. And so maybe that's the kind of situation here where a knocked out player then becomes a different type of player. So I will go ahead and do that. So yeah, we have knocked out players become a different type of player, and we have that. So we as you can tell now, I've already started grabbing inspiration from other games and are kind of integrating some of those concepts into this game without actually doing what that game does or its mechanics or anything like that. But it's always a good idea to kind of learn other games and kind of take in, like, cherry pick concepts and ideas that you like and put in your game. I think there's an old adage that a good artist steals, and it's kind of true. You do steal, like, methods and techniques and stuff like that, but the painting in the end is still your own. You're not copying the actual image, you're copying the techniques and stuff that get there. And so if you think of it that way, there are a lot of cool things in other game concepts that you might like if you're a big Dominion fan, you might like the idea of having a deck building game to be part of the aspects of what you like to play. So just because you want a deck build doesn't mean you're stealing all of Dominion's stuff and, you're copywriting issues and stuff like that. No, it's you like that concept, you're going to add it to your game, and you're going to do it in your way. So you kind of build upon concepts, and you mix concepts together sometimes to form new concepts. And sometimes when you take existing concepts, it allows you to take a tried and proved concept and add it to your new concepts that are either completely new or don't have the same type of kind of universal understanding that will make them really easy to play. So together they'll become stronger, basically is what I'm saying. So anyways, we have these things. Now we need to know, how do you win? Well, one obvious way is to be the last conspiracy standing. And what does that mean? I think it means that your group now has complete control of everything. So as each of the other conspiracies get knocked down one by one, your group becomes the most powerful conspiracy group, and that will be kind of how you win. So you basically take over the world, and that is your goal. The next thing I kind of want to think about is the factions that you can play and how they're working with and against each other. So we have the mole people. We have the lizard people. You have NASA. Now, I don't know, there's only one S in NASA. I don't know about copyrights and all that stuff, and I don't really want to take a dig at NASA or anything like that. So I'm going to create my own version of NASA for this game, and that's going to be what I'll use for NASA, just because I don't know if I don't want to be hit by any kind of copyright stuff, and I also don't want to have NASA logos and stuff on there. I want to create my own. So I don't really mind other things, but NASA is an organization that I respect, and I don't want to mess with them. So that is them there, and then I will of course also put the Illuminati. No idea how to spell that. I'm going to go ahead and see if Google can spell it for me. It's one of the things where if I can't find a word, I will just Google it. There you go. Illuminati. We have the Illuminati. Let's do those. So mole people, lizard people, NASA, and the Illuminati. So that's 4 major factions. That's a pretty good size of game. Is 4 players. You'll find that most games are kind of 5 players max. 6 players will make games go on longer. So depending on how we want to do that, this is probably a good list of beginning factions. But I do like the idea of you like the idea of a possible 6th or 5th faction that I will determine later. But this is kind of just me brainstorming what the major four will be. In prototyping and stuff, I might just build those 4, have them kind of start playtesting them and stuff, and get that going, the ball rolling with them, and then add a 5th or 6th as we go through. It might still only be up to 4 players, and those other 2 factions might just be alternative factions, so you can have a mix of factions. Let's see here. I like a lot of replayability, so I want players to be able to pick up the game and have it not always be exactly the same game that they play each time. For example, one of my latest games, Doctor Nemesis, which I have right here, I'll pull out. It's a 2 to 4 player game, right here. You have 4 different factions that you can play. You can play as the Weeping Angels, the Masters, Cybermen, or Daleks. And in that game, you take decks of cards based off of those. So you have like a Dalek deck of cards, and then you have 2 different leaders. So like for the Daleks, you have the Davros leader, and you have the Supreme Dalek. And so you can choose. The Emperor Dalek. You can choose between the 2, and then they add more cards to your deck. And then you get 2 random Doctor decks added to your deck, and then you shuffle them together, and that becomes your deck. So you have one chosen element between 2 different things. You have a core element, and then you have 2 random elements out of 13 decks for the random elements. And so there's a lot of replayability, and there's a lot of, like, you just don't know what's going to happen with your deck, and you don't always have the same outcome and stuff like that. So I kind of like a little bit of those kind of abilities to mix and match things to kind of give you the ability to have that replayability and have those kind of fun interactions in the game that you weren't expecting. But I don't know if this game is going to want to have a bunch of decks of cards that you mix together. This might just be more of a board game than like a deck kind of game as well. So what I'm thinking is to take an idea that they had with Smaller Worlds, where you have a race and then you have a race ability that you mix together. So they kind of you get them randomly, and you get 2 special rules that kind of mesh together. But in this version, I'm thinking that you will have your faction. Your faction will have a random end goal, and this will be an alternative way of winning, not based on being the last one standing. So basically, what I'm thinking with these are going to be little tiles that you'll get, that you'll put around your little player board, that will have an alternative victory condition, and these will be things that are going to be a little difficult to get to. Like, for example, if you play King of Tokyo, you win by knocking all the other creatures or monsters out of the game, or you can win by getting 20 points. So there's kind of 2 ways to win. This will be that kind of 20 points. You'll gain a certain amount of victory points. So I'll do victory point based. Let's go ahead and, so this is my concept thing. I'm going to write it out, so in case I'm reading through it later and can't remember what I abbreviated things to, it's always good to have it at this point written out. So that'll be victory point based. So you might get a random one, like it gains you points when you deal with certain conspiracy groups or certain conspiracy members or something like that, and then you'll get extra points, or you'll get extra points if you send certain groups against other people and they're successful, that kind of thing. So yeah, so I think that will be kind of one of the things that you get added as an extra random goal. Let's go ahead and add a passive bonus. So the passive bonus will be things like extra money or better assassins or something on those lines. I'd like to have, like, let's say there's 5 factions, I would like to have like at least 10 of these. That way, it's very rare if these are random. Um, that would be very rare for you to always have the same two together. If there's a really powerful combination, it won't always happen every game. Um, End goals. These I'm thinking again about 10 of these. Again, more random aspects, so you can't always have the extra random end goal. And then I would like to add a random active ability that you can use when you choose. Got a T in there. Let's go there. Ability that you can use when you want. Again, probably about 10 of these. You probably could have less. In fact, most likely the game will have 4 different, since there's all these different random things, 4 different of these core conspiracies, and then these things. So then you'll have a big kind of way to mix these up. So these might actually be then 2 per player. So let's make them 8 for now, and make it a 4 player, and then and maybe leave the other types of characters for possible expansions in the future. Yes, at this point, I always think about expansions, how I can incorporate expansions and stuff like that. I kind of like to have a roadmap for expansions as I go through any game. Even if I know the game's going to be a one-off, I'll have plans and thoughts for expansions just in case. Because you never know. If a game gets really popular, there's always a chance for more expansions. So even like my Nemesis game, I already have concepts and ideas written down for 2 to 3 more expansions immediately for that. Same thing with Aliens and with the Doctor Who game and stuff. In fact, Aliens I was so clear on what the expansions would be that I actually kind of designed it all at once and knew exactly how to break them up and all that stuff just from the get-go. Doctor Who was a very easy concept for expansions, and because it was just adding more content, more Doctors, more Adventures, more of the game. So it didn't really add anything new, where Aliens adds different elements each time. Like the Ultimate Badass expansion adds experience cards that give you more of an RPG feel, adds more characters to the game, stuff like that. Where the Aliens, the 3rd expansion, Get Away From You Bitch, adds a whole nother aspect of cards to the game that allow you to play the alien as a playable faction and stuff like that, and it also adds more missions and stuff. So it does add more. They both do add more to the game, but they each also added new concepts and stuff. Where Doctor Who doesn't really add new concepts; it just adds more things. So that they're just 2 different types of expansion strategies, and I think they both are quite valid. For this game, I'm thinking having additional factions in their own boxes. So you have like a faction box that will have cards and stuff like that for them will be good. It might make the game board a bit funky because with different factions and stuff that will need different location stuff for them. So we'll have to think about how we can integrate future factions when we make the board and stuff like that. So that's kind of one of the things I'm thinking of. One thing that might be kind of fun, if we make the game board round and make the moon a separate piece, the expansion could be a ring that you place around the game board. Oh, that could be cool. And it would open up like an outer ring, like the beyond the ice barrier, like another ring, and maybe that's where those factions are headquartered in or something. So there's a lot of little fun things you can do with those things. So yeah. So anyways, that is kind of divergent thinking from what we're doing. So now we're kind of going through and we're kind of defining the game a bit better. So the game will have conspiracies for you to manage. It will have a sort of player elimination, but the players then become a different type of player. They become a bad guy, and in a way, and so they kind of start working against other players. And maybe maybe they can win if you don't succeed at your random goal. So yeah, that random goal might actually be the way you have to win. So yeah, as we play test and as we go through, we can see if that's a viable strategy or not. Maybe if you got your conspiracy knocked out and you become a conspiracy guy, maybe you win if you can defeat all the remaining players, and so the players now have to work against you. So as players, it might not be advantageous for you to kick out other players too quickly in the game, because if a player gets knocked out too quickly, then they will have more time to mess with you directly. So yeah, that could be interesting as a concept in the game. Is you don't want to knock out your opponents too fast. I like that. So let's go ahead and put a note about that. All right, and then cool. So that's kind of cool. So that is that kind of creates a weird asymmetrical game now. And so now we have players who are actively working to win the game, and then when they get knocked out, they have to switch gears to being part of the bad team, but they are now working against the other players who are active. And so some players might want to jump right in and get knocked out right away because they might want to play the bad guy right away, and some players might not. But so I think we need to make player elimination controlled by opponents, or the game itself is not possible. All right. So now, just thinking, I don't want players to knock themselves out immediately, so they can just be like, "Ah, now I'm going to be these guys," and that kind of thing. So I would have rules in the game that will kind of safeguard against players just immediately eliminating themselves. So I'd make sure that there is no cards that will just kill a player if they get through, and then also make it so that when you play cards that hurt a player, that you can't play them on yourself. So you can't put a big boss or a big investigation team against yourself. You have to play it against an opponent, and then make it so that when you defend yourself, it's not something you can automatically fail. So I'm thinking that dice will play a part. So you'd if something comes against you, you will roll a dice and then add any other kind of upgrades or anything that you might have gotten or purchased during the game to your defending score. So there's always a chance that even if you're trying to fail, so you could lose and become something, that you'll roll high enough to defeat it. So I don't think it's completely possible to prevent players from getting themselves eliminated if they really want to. But I do think that you can put rules in line so it's not an easy thing to do. It's not the most opportunistic thing for them to choose. So that is going to be part of the rules shaping of the game. Right. So we have kind of the idea that we're going to have cards that are going to be working against players. We're going to have so let's go ahead and create a new text box over here. So I'm going to call it components. And I'm going to kind of roughly get an idea of what is going to be in the game. So we have a game board with locations for things. So we have a game board with locations for things. I'm keeping this kind of general. I don't know exactly where on this game board the things are going to be, how things are going to go, that kind of stuff. But it will probably be a map, and it might even just be something as simple as like you put meeples in North America, South America. So you have like 4 zones that you put stuff, or 5 if you for the ice thing, 6 if you count the oceans, that kind of stuff. So we'll have different like zones that you can put them in, but it might be something super basic. Or it might be something really complicated where I start dividing into countries, and then like you have to have meeples in certain countries and stuff like that. So the board itself is kind of still a question mark of how that's going to work. I just know that to have a flat Earth game, to have a flat Earth on the table is ideal, and having other things like the whole in Canada and that kind of stuff be an actual thing is cool as well. Eliminating Australia and New Zealand, and then having in Australia, New Zealand, and South America is kind of cool for that conspiracy as well. And yeah, so that kind of gets us the basic map. So that's going to be that. So I know that you're going to have a board. You're going to be placing things on there to protect certain zones. And maybe you just have one meeple that in those zones things can attack you. Maybe there's areas around here that cards can be set to attack certain zones and areas. So then we have that. We know we're going to have cards. So we're going to have investigator. So these are the guys coming in investigating your conspiracies. So we'll have like different levels. Like we'll have what's a good way to put it? So maybe some governments are looking into it. To large organized groups, and then we have individual investigators. And then these each will vary in power. Like this might not necessarily leak any information because the government might actually hold on to that information and not tell anyone about it. This one here will be like your large conspiracy groups that are doing projects together. So these will be kind of more difficult. So it'll be most difficult, but least amount of information leaked. So probably medium difficulty with a medium amount of information leaked. And then these will be the easiest ones, but with probably a higher level of information leaked with individuals, just to kind of have that kind of gradient, kind of like, the easier it is, if you don't pass it, then the more damage it does. So yeah, and like individual investigators, though, I see them kind of like YouTubers, or people who are like personalities that other people can see. And then you'll also have the variants of just people who are doing this on their own, who no one knows that they're searching and stuff like that. So the cards themselves will have different amount of influence. So so medium to high influence, medium to high difficulty. I say low to high influence, low to high difficulty, and then low to high information leak will be kind of their what they do. So low, medium, and high, big, for the impact, then we'll have, like I said before, influence. Difficulty, dual width, and damage. So the damage is what kind of damage they will do to your actual organization when they do know about it. So like if it's a group, they might be high on the influence thing where they're telling everybody about it, but they might not actually take apart your infrastructure or damage you, where the government might actually have like a secret, drone strike or something against you that destroys certain research labs or what have you, and so you lose stuff like that. So, let's see, Nate. Have fun at work. But yeah, it will have different impacts on the game depending on that. So those will be the three kind of stats for those investigator cards. Let's go ahead and make this investigator cards like that. Let's go ahead and pop these up here. Other cards we'll have will be you're gonna want I'm gonna call them conspiracy cards. That's definitely how you spell that. Did it again. So let's see here. I don't know why spell checker's not picking up on it. There we go. Conspiracy cards. These will be upgrades or one-off effects used to further your plans or hinder others. And these are the cards that let you basically manipulate the investigator cards, or like send them to somebody else, or allows you to show up your own defenses and things like that. So these cards will be kind of a community cards. So let's see here. So this would be a shared deck. The reason I'm doing shared here instead of having personal decks is that I've just personally designed a bunch of games that have personal decks now, like Nemesis and a game I'm working on now, and I want something different. So I'm just kind of varying the type of games I'm making. So this will be a shared thing, and it's also a good way to balance things out too, because if this is a powerful card in one deck, then none of the decks ever really have a chance of having that powerful card if they don't have something that's equivalent. So this way, everyone has a chance at getting the good cards. Whether or not they help you out or not is another. It's another thing altogether. But yeah, that will be kind of a shared deck in the middle that everybody gets. I think players will have like a small hand size. Maybe they'll draw like 2 conspiracy cards, or something like that, and then they can get more by spending whatever the resource of the game will be. And there will be resources. Let's go ahead and do resources. In this type of game, information is definitely going to be information is definitely going to be a resource. Money, influence, and what's another good resource? Let's just call it generally military. So here's like 4 resources. That's a good amount of types of resources to have. Probably do these in tokens forms. Yeah. One of the tips I have too, if you're gonna make a game for print and play people who and you don't really see, like this game, I don't really see it actually getting a mass market thing. It's gonna be kind of a goofy game. Is people gonna print it out if they want to play it? That kind of concept. I make I always, for print and play, if you can, try to make your tokens square. Some people have cool like 1 inch round punches and stuff like that, but not everyone does. And square tokens are easier for people to cut out and to get to your game. The least amount of barriers you can put into putting your game together and playing the game, the better. People who want round tokens, though, that's the thing that's cool with square tokens. If you do it right, they can actually still cut out a circle from your square, so and still get it to work. So it kind of is like the best of both worlds. So I would always go square tokens when you do tokens. I already talked about this, but I want player boards. Yeah, you can call them tableaus, you can call them player boards, you can call them whatever you want, but I like having a central area where you put things that you're organizing. So player boards, which will be for right now, faction boards, and of course the 8 alt win tiles. I'm gonna call them tiles because it'd be nice if they all kind of link together. Maybe even have them be puzzle, so that they can interlock with each other. Would be kind of cool. 8 passives and 8 active cards. Oh, sorry, tiles. But these abilities. So let's go ahead and do that. And so, let's kind of quickly map this out. These also could be cards. Maybe the alt wins can be tiles and stuff. Or actually, let's do that because again, this is going to be print and play. No player board cards. Let's print and play. Cards are easier for people to print and play than cardboard. So let's not give them too much cardboard. They have to kind of cut out if they want to have thicker stuff. So instead, I will do what I did like in Aliens and some of my other games. I'll have slots for cards to be plugged into your boards, so that you can have all those kind of things kind of pre-mapped in there. So that's kind of most of the things. And then we want a dice to roll. So yeah, dice. And yeah, so obviously D6s are the easiest things for people to get a hold of. Though with the popularity of RPG games now, a lot of people who print and play and stuff like that will have access to RPG dice, so you can actually throw in different sizes of dice. I liked having kind of unique dice. In Aliens, I got to play around with D10s, which I really liked. And so yeah, having some of the bigger, more interesting dice in there is interesting. So I'm gonna put type to be determined because I want to kind of see like where our bands are. Because the bigger the dice we have, the more things we can add to modify our stuff, and it changes that kind of economy. So if we have like a D12, let's say, then you have 1 through 6, let's say, of like pluses that you could add to it, so that now you could have all the way up to 18 for your roll, but you have a minimum of 6. So then that means your difficulties for things that you want to always be able to be failed need to be a 7 or above, that kind of thing. So you kind of have to think of your ranges. But if 7 and above is you always want that to be a possible loss. By rolling stuff, you can either have rolling 1 always be a loss, or you could make sure that the amount of bonuses you can get in something is capped at a certain amount. And we could do that with things like with the player boards as well, where the player boards have different things that could cap out at different levels. Maybe we'll have like a little wooden meeple that we can move up and down to show what level we are in certain things. And maybe that means that some factions are going to be better at other things than other factions. Like maybe NASA doesn't have the access to the military or money, as say, but the Illuminati has access to information and money, but not really influence. Or maybe, sorry, they would have influence. Maybe they have access to information and influence, and then you kind of get the idea that they'll be slightly better at things, and they'll also maybe like 10 be the most that you can get something. Like maybe each faction has one of the 4 things at 10, and then they have one at 8 on 9, one at 8, and one at 7 at being the maxes, and so you can play around with that as well, and have them each have those limitations baked into their faction. So maybe it's less of a you don't have these things, and more of a which is the one that's worst and which is the one that's best, that kind of thing too. So, anyways, things you can play around with. Dice are cool, and I do like the idea of having like a D12 or a D20, but D20 is a bit too random. Actually, let's do D12s because they're kind of like little globes, and it'd be kind of funny to have a globe-shaped die be what you roll for the flat Earth game. I mean, it is hexagonal, but it'd just be funny as a concept. So that's what I'm going to pencil in for the dice there. So let's say the game needs 4 D12s with the concept of each player has one. So maybe 2 to 4. So you have roll 2 dice, choose the best type effects, maybe. But yeah, I quite like where this game is going. It's starting to take shape, and as you can see, start off with me just kind of drawing this map, just kind of thinking about things and letting them kind of percolate, and then talking about different things. And then when I started writing things down, I kind of started very generic and kind of pull the game out. And then now that I'm over here, I'm actually defining some more of the how things are going to work, like how the investigator cards are going to work. There's going to be 3 different power versions of them. Still question marks, like are all 3 of these organizations going to be shuffled into one deck and then you flip them over to see what they are? Are they going to be separate decks? And so depending on like your exposure, different groups will come after you, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's a question that we'll answer later on. And then the conspiracy cards, same thing, like what types of cards are going to be in there. I'm just going to make a quick little list of card types. I see upgrades that will give you ongoing bonuses. I see hindrance cards. So you play these on your opponents, and it has an ongoing effect while there are still players. And 1 off. So yeah, you have upgrades, you have hindrance cards that you play on another player. You have 1-off cards, so quick bonus for yourself, quick bonus to stop somebody else. And then I'm going to put on here global cards. So these are cards that you'll play oh yeah, sorry. Just thinking out loud while I'm typing. It says global cards I see as something that gets placed in play. There's only one global card that's going to be active at a time, and players can play a new one that will just discard the old one. It'll put either a new rule in play, or it'll put a new win con in play. And so anyone can win off the win con, anyone can win off the new rule. And it's another way to kind of spice things up and make things different. I think global cards will probably be the cards that have the least amount of cards in the deck. Just because you don't want too many of them so that it's constantly shifting, but you want enough that there is no real guarantee that they'll show up. So let's say, for argument, there is 5 global cards. Let's make it an even number. So let's make it 6. And then there is 12. Sorry, let's say 10 one-off hindrance, 10 one-off bonus cards, 8 of those, and 8 of these. Just like a generic, this is just throwing in numbers for like a baseline. So that's 26 plus 16, so that is 32, 42 cards. 8, yeah, 42 cards in a deck. And if each player gets 2 cards a round, and you have 10 rounds, 4 times 10 is 40, so that would be a whole deck kind of played through. So that is kind of a good baseline for stuff. But let's say I just want to make sure that players have a lot of things that they can do, and that games don't become too stagnant. I could double everything so that there's a lot of variance in the deck. Now maybe there's like let's just make this 10. Let's make these cards 20, 20. Let's make these ones 15 and 15. So now I know I'll have an even number. So that's 30 plus 40 is 70, 80 cards. 80 cards. And like I said, if you get 2 cards each round, you just draw them. That's how you get them each round. And you have 4 players in 5 rounds. That is 40 cards. That's half the deck. So that means that this half the deck you didn't see that game, which is a good thing, because it means then the next game will have a different mix of cards. So I do like that. But what if we made it simple? That's 80, 90, 92, 93, 93, 94, 95, 96, 99, 100. So what if we did something like this? So we have 50. No, I'm going to need more. Something. That's 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 98. So I need 2 more cards other places. Let's make this 26 and 26. Now the reason why I'm putting less hindrance cards in there than upgrades is that you might not necessarily want a lot of cards, like negative cards on people. In fact, I might even pump this down to 14 and make this 22. Because it's always more fun to upgrade yourself than it is to hit somebody else and have them have a downgrade. When you're playing 4 players, it's just not going to be that much fun. So actually, let's go ahead and do this. No, let's give that 12. Let's go ahead and make this be 40. And let's make this be 26. So 26, 26, 26, and 22. So that's 52. 52, 60, 78, 90, sorry, 80, 90, 100. So 100 cards roughly here. The other thing that this allows me to do is have cards that let you draw extra cards in a game. So if one player is drawing an extra card each round, you still have more cards for the game. Investigator cards, let's say there is 15 of each. This says 30, 45, and let's make this an even 50 and have 15. Sorry. So actually, if we're going to do that, let's do 14, 14, 14. So that's 38, 42, and then that leaves me with 8 events. And these will be like something that pops up and does something like that. So that's 50 cards there. let's say 3 of these get, or 4, let's say 4 of these get played around for 5 rounds. That's 20 cards. That's less than half the cards. So yeah, depending on how investigated cards will get played, there's that. So let's say there's 50 investigator cards then. And these are just the background cards that get played when that happens. So let's keep this uniformed and as uniform as we can. So 50 cards here. And now let's go down here because we already know that we're going to want players. So eliminated player cards. Alright, let's have 10 roll cards. These will determine a special role that they get each round, what they get to do. Let's give this a 40 card mess with other players deck. Again, they'll get 2 cards from these, and these will be things that they can do to mess, and there'll be more hindrance type cards in here. Another good reason why there's a few here. In fact, let's also do this. Because you're also getting hindered by the investigations in general. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and move 2 of those out. And let's go 68. Yeah, let's go upgrades. Let's minus 5 from 8. So let's make it 23 there. And 35. There. 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. Sweet. So that's still 100 cards. I think it's a better distribution between player interaction and you doing cool stuff on your own, with the global effects kind of messing with everybody. So investigating cards, boom, boom. Again, they have events. So 10 roll cards, 40 cards that just mess with people. So once you get eliminated from this zone, you go here, and then you have a bunch of cards that just mess with people. So there's going to be 50 cards here. Just as I think so, that's 200 cards already. So that's a lot of cards in this game already. To think about, these might go up or down depending on the actual cards that we make, which I'll probably focus on starting to do next week. So this will be an ongoing project. This is going to be part 1, and I will basically continue and make more of this game as we go through. And hopefully by the time we're done, we'll have a working prototype of the Flat Earth, the game. And yeah, even that's a working title. And that might change as we go through. So anyways, that is the basic cards I think we'll need for this game, which is kind of cool. I like these kind of the central conspiracy cards and all this stuff. And then yeah, one of the things we might add to the game board then is if we have the game board be this. Let's go ahead and add a new layer, and this will be out of the group. Boom, up here. And let's go ahead and just do this. Inside, let's put brown, and let's make this be one point, like that. And then put one there, put one here, and then put one there. And there is basically 3 zones here now for the card decks. So the card decks can now plug into the top of the game board. And so we can have, one for the conspiracy cards, one for the investigator cards, and one for the mess with players cards. And we'll figure out the names of those later on once we get closer to that point. But yeah, so that gives us, place to store all those things. So save. That's so cool. I like that. Anyways, now this means that this layer is outdated. So links, boom. And there is our card slots there for the cards to be plugged into. And on top of all this, we know we're going to want worker tokens. So you have agents. Researchers, maybe. And your patrol / military, people who, you know, watch your borders, make sure no one gets in, that kind of stuff. Let's pop this all the way up here at the top. And that is our basic components and concepts. Hey everyone, thanks for watching that. Again, if you like this type of thing, please hit that like button to let me know that, you know, this is the type of video that you do like seeing. And go ahead and throw some comments down below if you have any thoughts about the game, or if there's issues with the video or anything like that, just let me know, and I can make improvements as I go. I'm kind of new to all this, so any feedback is good feedback. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye for now.